What's going on YouTube? Looking at a new budget model. Hadn't done a budget knife in a while, so I thought I'd do another one that I've had my eye on as far as the premium version of this knife. So when they came out with the budget model just recently, I was like, oh, I'll check it out, see if I like the design. So this is the Stedemon BP02. This is the budget one in 440C stainless. This has got the orange scales, which are like a Grivery, polymer style, scale, not G10. I wish they were G10, that'd be sweet. But the knife comes in at 40 bucks, so it's a budget knife. It has an overall length of 7.75. Your blade is 3.375. It's a kind of a Quaken style blade. You have a blade thickness of 0.15 with, like I said, 440C steel with a flat grind, a satin finish on the grinds, but stonewash on the flats. You have a handle length of 4.375. Your handle width is 0.875. It seems off. I'll measure that. Oh, yeah, that's wrong. Handle thickness is 0.52. This is the handle width. They're going off that. This is the thickness, and that's where I was like, that seems way too thick. And your weight is only 3.62 ounces. It is right hand or left hand on the pocket clip. You can move it on this side or this side. You have a lanyard attachment here. It is a liner lock stainless steel, made in China by Stedemon. They do, like I said, they have a titanium version of this knife with 204P steel that I've kind of always been interested in, but I haven't wanted to drop the money to check out the design. So when they came out with this guy, I thought, why not? So the knife is on bearings as well as the premium one is, which is cool. So you get a nice smooth action. The blade's got some gunk on it. I did take this apart and disassemble it, and I'll actually roll in that footage here in a minute because I had some issues with blade play. And you would think this is the pivot, but it's not. These are actually handle screws. The pivot is underneath this, which is interesting. So, first impressions of this guy. I do like the design of this knife. It's not a flipper. I like the Quaken style blades, always have. Just love that kind of Japanese styling on the design there. The handle scales are pretty slick. They don't have a lot of traction. They are lightweight, and when you see when I disassemble this, the liners are very heavily skeletonized, so it keeps the weight down on this knife. You do have a pocket clip, which I'll show you how it carries here in the pocket in a sec. And like I said, that is reversible. It's not deep carry, but it carries deeper than it looks, if that makes any sense. So, so far the action's been very smooth. Like I said, did have a little blade play. Had to take the knife apart and tighten the pivot and put some Loctite on there, so hopefully that changes that. These come at 40 bucks. They come in different colors. There's black, orange, maybe blue. Nope. Black, orange, and brown scales. Kind of like a flat dark earth, orange and black. So, yeah, I like the design actually. It's pretty cool. I think the premium one might be in my future because I like this blade shape quite a bit. I like the handle is pretty comfortable. It's right in the wheelhouse of my knives where I like them around 4.5 inches or less on the handle. So very, very nice. Let's go ahead and just roll in that footage of the taking this apart, kind of show you how it's built and such, and we'll wrap up this video. Alright, so we got the Stedemon apart, and I took this apart because the knife had developed some pretty bad blade play. And I was tightening these two screws on the outside. I'll just show you on this side. So there's a screw here and a screw here on both sides. This one was the pocket clip on, obviously. But I was trying to adjust, thinking this was the pivot screw, when really it was just a scale screw. So when you take off the scales, just by using a what is this one? T8. You'll notice that, these are just scale screws. There's a pivot underneath, which I was able to adjust. Now, since I had it this far taken apart, I thought I might as well see what it's made up of inside. So let's get our screws out here for the remaining screws here. These are T6. Side's not coming out, probably because it's spinning on the other side, so good times. Alright, so there you can see the blade on bearings, which we thought it was, which is interesting. The premium version's on bearings as well, so even the budget version is on bearings. Nice skeletonized steel liners. Some gunk in the pivot there, I'll clean off. So you got to basically, to take the whole knife apart, you got to remove the scales, the pocket clip, the whole 9 yards, and the back spacer. Because this one is spinning. Let me see if I apply a little pressure if I can get there. Nope, so it'll have to come out on the other side. But at least you get an idea of the, there's a stop pin, the construction of the knife. Or we can try to do it this way. Yeah, there's always this trick here. There we go. See, apply a little pressure there with the scale. Boom. So that's off. So nicely skeletonized. Looks like the stop pin is pressed. No, it's not. It does freely move, so nice. Got your little plastic back spacer there. And your screws there. So we're not going to take the other side of the scale off. There's really no reason. What's a reason? No reason to. Got our little cloth here. DLT trading. Not where I bought the knife from. Bought it from Blade HQ, but let's get some of this gunk out. They over oil the crap out of these knives from China. I love compressed air, guys. It's probably the best way to clean out those tight little holes. Oh man. Still a little bit of grease on those bearings, so I'm going to leave those alone. But it gives you an idea what the knife looks like inside, how it's constructed, how it rides, how the action is, why it's so smooth. It's on bearings. So there you go, guys. That's how you disassemble the Stedemon BP02. And we'll go ahead and put it back together as well, which is pretty simple. I'm just going to wipe off some of this excess grease on the blade. It's still got a good amount of oil on there, so I'm not going to even put more on there. Usually I would put like a drop of nano oil on there, but I'm not going to when it's this oily already. The next thing I would do is take these little scale screws. It's so hard to do this around a bipod. There we go. So press that stop pin in. That'll hold it stay in place a little better. And then you can do this. Snug it up. I'm not going to do Loctite on these screws because they're held on also by a scale screws as well, but I will put a little bit of Loctite on the pivot because it was coming loose. I'm getting some bad blade play side to side. This stuff is really runny. I like the gel stuff better, but this is what I had on hand. I've got some Chris Reeve. Well, that's grease. Got some Chris Reeve Loctite as well I could use, but I'll just use this since it's here. Just a little drop there. Oh, see, that's why I don't like this stuff. Blah. Just like spit Loctite all over me. That's okay. Switch back to our T8 for the pivot. Let's wipe off that Loctite. Let's get our action where we want it. Okay, that's not even close. We may not have tightened those screws here enough. No, those are very snug. I think we got our centering pretty good. Yeah, smooth. I'm having a hard time getting it to open in this position. There we go. Okay, that looks pretty good. Next, you'll just take this little FRN plastic handle scale. Doesn't matter how you do this because the knife's pretty much together at this point. It's just a matter of just getting these on there. So if these spin on you, these get loose. Don't worry because they have nothing to do with the pivot. You do have to take this off to adjust the pivot, which is kind of annoying. But I was actually pretty close to sending this back to Blade HQ thinking, man, I'm adjusting this and it's not changing the blade play at all. Come to find out that, yeah, there you go. Centered, smooth, all back together. There you go. So you can see there that the pivot construction is a little different, but it's a pretty well made knife, especially for $40. I think it's a pretty good value. 440C, better than 8CR13 and AUS8, lesser than D2. So it's in lower end steel still, but it's at least better than a lot of the other Chinese steels. I would say it's around 14C28 and also that like Real Steel is using. I think the 14C might be a little better actually, but pretty similar steels anyway. They're all in that lower end spectrum where they're going to have to be sharpened more frequently. There is no jimping on the top of this, which would be nice to see. The thumb studs are also a little large. They come out, they're just about even with, they may even overlap. They do overlap the frame, which they don't need to. They could have made that flush, made these thumb studs a little smaller. They tend to get caught on things, I noticed. Let me show you how this pocket clip functions too. The jeans, just to show you how easy it goes on the pocket pretty easily. And like I said, it carries pretty deep. It's not, you know, deep carry. You're gonna have a little bit of that hanging up, but just about right, just about enough to get that out of your pocket. Use the knife easily. It's not going to be hidden from view, but if you want more discreet, don't go with orange either. I just like orange on knives for some reason, I always have. So the action's nice and smooth, as you can see here. It almost falls shut on itself. That's after me tightening the pivot and getting the centering right where I want it. The fit and finish is good on this knife, guys. For 40 bucks, it's actually pretty great, really. Some of these Chinese companies that are bringing these, obviously premium folders are doing well, but even the budget ones, I mean, I don't know what's up with, I think they're better than Kershaw, and Kershaw kind of used to be the standard for Chinese knives, and maybe like the Tenacious by Spyderco and a few others. But these Chinese companies are actually making, I think, better knives in this price range. Real Steel especially, Stedemon, Steel Will, the Cut Jack is a really good knife for 50, 60 bucks. That's still probably the top of my list though. For the Cut Jack is for probably the best value this year. We'll see, what else has come out. But this is a nice little. It's nice. It has no blade play. It's really well. No, I got it tight enough. There's no blade play. There's no up and down play. There was a little side to side, and as you saw in the, if you need to take it apart, you got to take this scale off, then you can tighten the pivot. It takes only 2 seconds to take that scale off. It's not a big deal. But the fit and finish is good, and the action's nice and smooth, smoother than a lot of knives actually. Those bearings are very smooth on this one, so I like the overall design of this knife. The ergonomics they're okay. They're not fantastic. It's kind of a straight handle, you know, as a lot of Quakens are, just kind of straight, and then it has this little choil, I guess you'd call it here, and that little, almost like a flipper tab, which it's not, but it gives you a nice hand guard, so it's pretty comfortable in this grip as well as this reverse style. But one thing I'll notice in the reverse style grip is this thumb stud that sticks out too far kind of gets you in the hand, creates a hot spot. But that's only going to be in that grip. It's not, you're not going to notice it here. So, you know, on the design wise, I would change that and make these more flush with the scales. But I am really curious to try out the titanium version. I might have to pick one up because I like the design. I like Quaken style blades, and the Boker Quaken is kind of one I've had a few times, but the quality's always been hit or miss on those. So I feel like the Stedemon might be better quality, so it might be worth going with. But that's my first impressions on the Stedemon BP02 budget knife. Nice little knife for 40 bucks. Definitely would recommend picking it up. Just be wary and watch the video how I took it apart and how it's simple. You just take these 2 screws off and your pivot is under here. But you may get it and think, oh, I'm trying to tighten this and it's not doing anything to the action. That's exactly what I did, because you'd think, you know, if I would have looked more closely at the knife, thinking, well, that's too low for the pivot. But yeah, it's under the scale. Not a big deal, but just something to keep in mind. So thanks for watching, guys, and we'll see you on the next video.